Can you feel it yet? 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 We are no strangers to love.
Hello, that's mic 1 2. Mic test 1 2. Mic test 1 2. One two.
Hi, everyone. My name is Safaz Chando. I'm the coordinator for Climate Live. Okay, I hope you can hear me now. Okay, I'm so sorry. I wasn't using the mic directly. Okay, my name is Safaz Chando. I'm the coordinator for Climate Live. Climate Live is a youth-led movement. We organize global concerts in different countries where we use the power of music to engage a new audience which are not currently engaged in the climate crisis, because we believe that music has the power to unite people and bring people together, which is the necessary tool that we're using to engage a new audience in the climate crisis. So today we are going to have a session where we are going to be discussing on how Climate Live is using music to engage a new audience to the climate crisis. So today we have a panel of young climate activists and country representatives of Climate Live in different countries. We have Abubakar Kroma, who is the country representative for Climate Live Liberia. We have Fazana, who is also the country representative for Bangladesh. And we also have Dominic Palmer, who is also the country representative for UK, and Precious Kalombwana, who is the country representative for Zambia. So I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves in more details as we progress with the event. So I'll start with you, Palmer. You can introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Dominic Palmer, and I am a climate justice activist and environmentalist in the UK. I am a part of the Climate Live team in the UK and a representative for the International Youth Assembly. And Climate Live is a beautiful project that has come together to harness the power of music, to unite people, to engage, educate, and empower people to join the global climate movement. And we want to engage a new audience into the climate movement. I am also part of Fridays for Future and the UN Women's Feminist Action for Climate Justice Coalition, along with Fridays for Future, MAPA. And I'm really happy to be here today and speaking to all of you, and excited for this conversation.
My name is Precious Kalombwana, a climate activist from Lusaka, Zambia. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much.
I'll pass it on to Kroma.
Hello. Well, my name is Abubakar Kroma. I'm the national coordinator for Climate Life Liberia, and I'm also the youth and climate justice advocate. I'm the CEO and founder of the Climate Activist Association of Liberia, and I'm glad to be part of this unique forum. Thank you.
Hello, I am Farzana Farooq Jhumo. I am from Fridays for Future Bangladesh and also Fridays for Future MAPA. We stand for most affected people and areas. And I am also the country representative of Climate Live. And other than that, I am the youth advocate of UNICEF Bangladesh. And I'm really happy to talk about music, because we really connect through music, and we always talk about music having no language. So there we are, like breaking the barriers of language through music and breaking the barrier of climate change through music.
Thank you so much. So to progress with our event, we are going to have a slide presentation where we are going to be educating you about what Climate Live is in more detail, so that you understand the way we do our programs and how we progress with the events that we're doing, and also the impact that we're also making in communities in different countries as well. So Precious Kalombwana and Abubakar Kroma will be doing that presentation for us. So I'll start with you, Kroma.
Yeah, thank you very much. So without wasting time, we would love to run you through our presentation. Okay. Okay, well, like you can see on the screen, Climate Live is a youth-led movement that is using music to unite people. As we all know, music has the power to unite people, like our coordinator Chando said. And we at Climate Live, we always use music to unite people, use music to create awareness and create education about the climate crisis across the globe. Okay, and
Hello. Music has the power to unite people.
It's the one universal language on the earth.
We need to harness this power in one harmonious voice. 7.6 million took to the streets to demand climate action in September 2019.
But leaders still afraid to act
With the necessary urgency.
Millions of young people around the world are demanding change, and it's time to stop the apathy on climate change.
Can you hear us?
Time is running out for the planet as we know it.
To change everything, we need everyone.
Youth climate activists supported by NGOs and music and events professionals are organizing Climate Live.
Concerts to harness the power of music.
Following the model of school strikes, there will be both events on large and small scales across the globe.
Events are currently being planned in over 30 countries.
We have three main aims.
Engage a new audience to the climate movement.
Educate more people about the challenges faced today by those on the front lines of ecological breakdown.
Educate more people in Africa about why they are today facing so many climate-related challenges.
Empower young people to pressure world leaders to take actions to combat the climate crisis.
We kicked things off last year with events in 27 countries.
This year, there will be concerts all over the world.
For the UN COP28 climate conference,
governments will be asked to commit to solutions.
10 pledges into concrete action.
It is crucial
for our future, that world leaders are more ambitious.
We really need them to listen.
We will ask them, can you hear us yet?
Can you hear us yet?
Can you hear us yet?
The climate crisis hasn't stopped for COVID, and neither can we.
The crisis is happening now. It is here.
The time is now.
The leaders of the world aren't doing enough. We just have to keep spreading the message.
We can't do it alone.
We need you.
Please use your privilege and fight for us.
It is so vitally important that anyone with a platform of any size does whatever they can to support the youth-led climate movement.
World leaders, can you hear us yet?
The louder we shout, and the more we'll be heard.
Can you hear us yet?
We can make a difference.
Together, we need to be united in one voice. Make your voice counted too.
E quanto mais alto gritarmos, mais seremos escutados.
Can you hear us yet?
The young ones are speaking out. The elders are echoing the wisdom.
So join them as they raise awareness of the challenges faced today by people on the front line of ecological breakdown.
Please join us. Junte-se a nós.
Por favor, junte-se a nós.
S'il vous plaît, nous vous demandons, rejoignez-nous.
Simama na kayo.
Peke yetu hatuwezi.
Uyai, Chimatani.
Por favor, junte-se a nós.
Uyai Tibatani.
Yunitu Ndamulina.
Iko, pia isonyeranyi.
Zehe, kochera kurasai.
Elate mazimas.
¿Nos escuchan ahora?
Let's do this.
okay, that was the video there you just watched. As you watch the video implies it said it all. So we need all hands on deck for us to fight the crisis. So just go next. Precious.
7.6 million took to the streets to demand climate action in September 2019, yet leaders still failed to act with necessary urgency. It is imperative that we engage more people to the climate movement. We need more people. We need our voices to be heard as youth.
Exactly. We need everybody. In October 2021, we organized a Climate Live event across over 20 countries, and in 2022, we couldn't, and in 2023, we will also be having a live musical concert across over 40 countries in the world.
Simultaneously, global climate concerts artists and activists and scientists to engage across the world. We need more people to join this movement so that we can fight for our future.
The big question here is, can world leaders hear us yet? Can you hear us yet? That is the big question.
Can you hear us yet? Can you hear us yet?
Our aims, I want to engage, to educate, and to empower people from diverse backgrounds across the globe. Precious? And some of our supporters are those you're seeing on the screen. You can just go through them, those you're seeing on the screen. We have Vanessa Nakati, Black Diamond, and all those you're seeing on the screen. Those are our supporters over the past time.
Across the globe, there will be events on both large and small scale, especially we are organizing next year events. We need your support to come and hear our voice together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And where these events will be taking place are in over 40 countries across the globe. In West Africa, Asia, and even across in the US.
We are no strangers to love.
All right. Last year in 2021, we had huge media coverage across the globe. We have people covering our event who have over the capacity about 22.4%, and entertainment media is about 23.5%. Mainstream media news was about 51.3%, and environmental media, a website, was about 2.8% across the globe. During the COVID-19, we couldn't stop the climate awareness across the globe. Climate Live, we had event during the COVID-19, and our event was on both live and physical, like in other countries like Zimbabwe and other countries in Africa. We had a physical event, while other countries that were facing too many challenges during the COVID-19, they have a virtual event. Thank you. So, as you see on the screen, we need every one of your support. We cannot do it alone. We need the youth. We need the other people. We need organization. We need world leaders. We need everybody to help us in this process. With that being said, I want to take this time to also thank and appreciate every one of you for coming to grace this occasion. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that presentation. I'm sure you have seen what Climate Live stands for. We're a youth-led movement, and we are trying to use music to engage a new audience to young people who are not necessarily engaged in the climate crisis. I could give you an example that I come from Zimbabwe. It's really complex, in Africa to actually use like strategies like protests and all that, because it's really complex when you use such processes, because it's not really safe for young people. So we're trying to use music, a tool that is acceptable in different communities, a tool that will literally attract a new audience, and it's acceptable in different initiatives. So now we'll be going into a discussion panel where we are going to be asking questions to the panelists here present, and I'm happy to note that you'll be joined by our founder, Frances Fox, who is the Climate Life founder, and she's a 21-year-old climate justice activist from the UK. In 2020, she was named as the Inspirational Person of the Year by the UK government's Environmental Agency. So she'll be joining us online during this speech. So I'll just give her about a minute to just introduce herself before we start with the discussion. Frances?
Hi, thank you for that intro. I'm very happy to be here. I'm currently in the UK, so I'm zooming over. And yeah, super excited to see this discussion.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining through. So I will just start directly with the questions. So Dominic, I'm really happy that you managed to join in. Not a lot of people from the Global North have managed to join in. I'm talking about young people in the Global North joining in this conference here in Africa. So like the first question I would want to ask you is, with Climate Live, you've been involved in Climate Live for quite some time. And, now Climate Live has many chapters in Africa. Like, we have over 30 countries in Africa organizing events and joining in this movement. So, why is it important that, that COP27 is in Africa? And, of course, with Climate Live having many chapters, why is it important that we have COP27 here in Africa?
Yes, it is absolutely crucial now that there is a COP in Africa and that these voices are being heard, because as many will speak on the panel today about it, the African continent is most impacted by the climate crisis. And with Climate Live, one thing that we are doing is, as you mentioned with the Global North, is all across the world, is mobilizing people into the climate movement so that we can apply pressure on leaders, because we know that this is a crucial decade that we are in, and if we don't see those emissions reductions, if we don't see that climate justice, we won't be on the pathway to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and that's something that we're demanding from world leaders. And with the climate crisis, it is often a crisis of connection, I find, a crisis of connection to our communities, to nature around us, and to this global movement. And I really feel that what a beautiful way to connect people then with something that connects us also deeply, which is music, and use that to educate people about this. And through Climate Live, one thing that I found speaking to people after doing music events, and people have come for the music and then been educated about the climate crisis, and what I found is that a lot of people have felt empowered to join, and they have said that this is one of the first events that they attended where they felt like it was a space that they could join. It felt like a space that had less pressure than other activism spaces that they had been in, and it would approach into the climate movement. And I think that's something really beautiful, and a beautiful way we can use the arts and the music to do that. And I think we need to be using every tool that we possibly have right now, including creative tools, to actually engage so many people, because we've seen with the climate movement, and we've seen in the past, that people power and collective action is the way that change will happen, and that is what is going to pressure world leaders. And so we have to mobilize as many people as we can, and especially by putting the most affected voices at the heart of it.
Okay, thank you so much. I really like the emphasis on people power, because we really need everyone, and we are currently in an emergency and we need to take action now. So whilst we are still on that, I'll be coming to you, Fazana. I understand as the country representative for Climate Live Bangladesh, and you'll be organizing. You'll be organizing an event next year for Climate Live. And, I understand there's been, recently there have been floods in in Bangladesh. So I want to understand, with our approach, on education as Climate Life, that we're trying to, to educate, empower, and, engage a new audience of the climate crisis. How do you think education will help in equipping and raising awareness in Bangladesh with regards to the climate crisis, especially now that you're experiencing these floods that have literally impacted a lot of people in Bangladesh?
Thank you so much. Is it here? Thank you so much. So, as you just said, Bangladesh actually had a flood which was like worst in 122 years, and a lot of people has been affected, and there are a lot of children who doesn't have school anymore because the school was washed away. And this is the education process of our country. And this year at UNGA, there was a report from UNICEF which has said that there are 3 million children who actually goes to school but doesn't learn anything about basic education. And if we are talking about climate and climate change and how actually climate change is happening, the number is way big. So when we are talking about climate education, we need everyone in the same pace. And what else can do it other than music? There is none of us sitting here when the music was playing behind was like feeling refreshed, was feeling that yes, the stress of this COP was like a little less when we are listening to music. And this happens to every one of us. And if this music has the power to show the situation of my country, then it can actually be the worldwide. And when every time we talk about what happening in my country, what happening in global north, global south, like Africa, South Asia, always this image comes with so much more like pain that we don't wanna feel those pain anymore, so we don't wanna know this. But if we can relate through music, we can relate to it, we can feel it, but also this will make us feel relaxed when we don't need to have those eco-anxiety with us if we relate it to music. And that's why I want to arrange the Climate Life in my country as well. And that's why we think that the Climate Life happened and will happen actually can educate more people in the world about climate change.
Thank you so much for that very insightful approach. I do believe that, of course, yes, music has the power to bring people together, and of course, it is an essential tool that we could use to engage people who are currently not engaged in climate action, as we need maximum support from all angles of life. So, I'll be coming back to Frances, back in the UK. I understand you as the founder of Climate Life, it's like this is a unique approach that we are using, and is literally making more impact, especially here in the global south. So I want to understand, as a LAPA representative, just to understand the basics, why did you start Climate Life?
Yeah, for sure. So I started Climate Live in mid-2019 after being involved in organising the Fridays for Future climate strikes, which I'm still involved with. And obviously the strikes have and are amazing, have been and are amazing at engaging new people, especially young people, in the climate crisis, in the movement, and furthering climate up the political agenda. But there are still so many young people who aren't engaging and just don't really care. Like at my school, for example, we had around 1,000 students and about 5 went to the climate strike, even though it was about 10 minutes down the road. So I thought, okay, how can we engage these people? And I, heard people talking about big festival lineups and like who's playing and who's coming to play in our town kind of thing. And I thought, okay, so how can we move those people and like all that passion from young people and culture over to people who care about the climate movement and are speaking out about that. It's not a completely original idea. It's been tried in the past and tried and succeeded. And I thought that doing this with the climate movement and harnessing the incredible network of youth organisers all over the world would be something we could try. And it's also never been done, concerts organised by young people, so we can really ensure that the correct messaging is getting across and we're not being greenwashed or like steered in one particular direction. That's pretty much why I started Climate Life.
Okay, thank you for that approach, because I do believe that like with Climate Live, like for example, I'll give an example of me personally coming from the global south in Zimbabwe. Like, this approach has literally, allowed us to, to engage the authorities, has allowed us to engage, the marginalized communities, the indigenous people, because, music, it's something that is unique in its own. Everyone would want to get involved, and even you can talk, like, it's just fun, you can just start dancing and you can connect, especially like the approach that we use, where we we literally use all types of genres from the indigenous music, even the modern music as well. So we do believe that with this approach, more people will get involved in the climate action. So hopefully we'll make more impact. And I'm just happy that with COP27 here in Africa, and of course being the most affected continent, like I want to understand, like I'll be coming back to you, Dominic, like what are your expectations from COP27?
So the expectations, it is hard to really pinpoint them down because of how previous COPs have been and how we have felt, or I personally felt disappointed, and especially a lot of young people have felt betrayed by world leaders and the lack of action. And this time, what I am really loving seeing at the moment is the amount of energy and focus that there is on loss and damages. That has made the agenda, and that has made an absolute storm in the media, and it deserves to be there. And I feel like this is the first time that has really been highlighted that that money is actually given to the most affected countries who did not cause the climate crisis, who contribute least to the climate crisis, but are experiencing the worst impacts. And I'm really glad to see loss and damage on the agenda, and that being a focus of this COP from a lot of civil society and a lot of people who are here pushing that. And this isn't an expectation that I necessarily have, but it's something that I'm demanding, which is the end to new fossil fuel projects and a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty. One that is, we are calling for a just transition and away from fossil fuels that are literally killing people right now, and people's lives are at risk and people's livelihoods every single day. And that is something that so many young people have been calling for. And some young people are part of the movement and part of Fridays for Future and in Climate Live, and we are here and we're standing up for that and standing up for climate justice. And so those are just some things that we're calling for at the moment. But I also want to bring back on the point about education and why we're here at this hub, is that all of us young people being here and creating this incredible movement and seeing the amount of civil society here who are applying pressure, the building block for that has been education, has been the knowledge about the climate crisis and the knowledge about how to mobilize communities and how to use resources and etc. And that is why education is so crucial, but we can actually see that education in a different way, for example, through these events, like through music and through pushing education even within our own circles and within the movement in these spaces. So my expectations for COP, I can't quite pinned down yet, but those are some things that I'm really enjoying seeing within at this COP, and it just goes back to the point that I think the people are the hope, and that hope is something we create and something we demand, and that's the most hope and action I've seen that has come from the collective power of us, and I haven't seen from world leaders.
Okay, thank you for that. But well, if you ask me, what I'm expecting is, I'm actually expecting not much. As someone coming from the global south, we are suffering the most from climate change. And, when we get the opportunity where all the world leaders, they do come together, the first thing that I would just want them to do, what I'm expecting out of COP27 is we want climate finance. We want funds, you see. We want money because as the global south, we cannot adapt to climate change without money. Our economies are not so good, and, there's no justice to all this. We're suffering from the injustice, and just like, for example, here in Africa, we emit less than 4% of the global emissions, and we are the ones who are suffering the most at the end of the day. So there's need for the global north, to act with the necessary agents in making sure that, they do support financially the global south. And this has to be done now. It's not something that we should continue, leaders discussing things on a regular. They say, we have to discuss about loss and damage. You have to discuss about climate finance. They just have to come together to say, we are going to give this much, you see, now. And then we don't want it to be something that they just keep discussing. Back in 2011, President Barack Obama promised money to the global south. But to date, nothing is materialized from that. So, I do feel that, leaders, they should start acting with an agency now, so that we don't, we move from, the issue of just discussing things, meeting, like I'm sure you can agree with me that this conference, it literally costed a lot of more money. And, if all those funds, if they had just agreed to say, we are going to be donating this much money to the global south, it would make more impact. Like I would give you an example. In Southern Africa, we've been having the cyclones, and a lot of people were displaced. And even with the IPCC report, it's literally highlighting that over 1 billion people will be displaced by 2025. You see, so this is a crisis. It's something which is not real. People that don't even have houses, they're staying in tents because their houses have been washed away by water. So it's an emergency, and it's something that they just want to continue discussing and meeting, signing papers, but nothing is happening on ground. So we need the money. So this should be the message to all the world leaders here present, to say we want the money now, you see, because it's something which is really, really affecting us, and which also brings me back to you, Fazana, in line with this, like we're saying that, with COP27 here present, world leaders yesterday, they met. They've been discussing, saying we need climate finance, we're going to be committing. Like I remember the British Prime Minister yesterday highlighting that, Britain is committed to actually, commit funds to the global south to tackle climate crisis. And, in line with this, I wanted to ask, what are your expectations as an activist from Bangladesh, a country which is suffering the most from climate change? What do you think should be the best approach, and what are your expectations from COP27?
Okay. So, expectations, as already Dominic said, pinpointing is so hard. But when you are talking about global north countries committing to finance, this is so tricky, and we really need to understand what they are actually promising. When they are talking about finance, do we actually know what the finance they are talking about? If we have seen a lot time that they're talking about adaptation funds, they're not talking about loss and damage fund. When they're talking about loss and damage fund, they don't talk about adaptation fund. And a lot of them they're like, when you have adaptation fund, why do you need loss and damage fund? But we need to make it clear that we are talking about loss and damage because we can't adapt to a lot of things. And when they are talking about this finance, where is the mechanism? how do we know that where the money is coming from and where the money is going? If there is no mechanism from global south countries like us, then if the money even goes to the countries, there will be no infrastructure to like spend it, and then there will be fund in term of grants or in term of like debt, where we either need to give the global north countries tax, any kind of favor of like trade, less trade tax, or we need to pay them the extra, if they are giving us any debt, we need to pay them extra interest. So why we as a global south countries, who are not even the people who actually cause this crisis, need to pay the extra money, and then how this money is actually working? So when I'm expecting a mechanism from this COP, because it started with the first day saying that loss and damage should be in the agenda. It's a good thing, and we want the finish saying that yeah, this is the way we are trying to make the mechanism. I understand that maybe the mechanism will not be here like in 12 days, but we need to see the start of this mechanism where global north is giving the money not as charity but as reparation, and global south countries receiving it has a transparency process to use the money.
Amazing. I really love the way you explained to that, and I do believe there's need to have mechanisms in place, and I do believe that this should be, the agenda of COP27, where they'll be discussing on this, because we are actually in an emergency, and there's need that we really need and really get this support as soon as possible. And just coming back to you, Frances, in line with COP27, and of course what has been what we're currently discussing, what Fazana has highlighted on the issue of climate finance, and having mechanisms in place with regards to the climate finance, where we are saying that these funds, they don't have to have conditions, and they should just come as climate reparations, and they should be direct and all that. So I want to understand, like you, like as a young climate activist in the global north, like what do you think should be the best possible way, in line with COP27? What do you think, the global north leaders should be committing to, with COP27 here in Africa? And of course, having started a youth movement, which is now in almost in every country in Africa, like what are your expectations, from the global north leaders in line with this? And what do you think should be the best approach in line with what the other speakers have highlighted?
Yeah, I mean, completely agreeing with what you three have said. My expectations are low. I expect the commitments to be made and them not to be kept, as is shown by us being nowhere near staying below 2 degrees, let alone 1.5 degrees, as it was agreed in the Paris Agreement way back in 2015. So in terms of finance, as well as loss and damage being incredibly important, I think funding youth climate groups to put pressure on world leaders to keep these promises is incredibly important. And I hope that from COP27, having this pavilion and lots of pavilions where there are youth climate activists present and talking and speaking, that organisations, world leaders, people with finance the youth climate movement to help us keep the pressure on. You may not be aware, but it was incredibly difficult to get young people to this conference and find funding to get young people from the global south to Egypt. And that obviously it's incredibly easy for CEOs of big companies to get here, and that needs to change. There needs to be finance for us to make our voices heard and spread our message and make sure that whatever commitments are made are actually stuck to.
Okay, thank you for that. So just coming back to the issue of our mandate as Climate Live, like Dominic, as the rep for Climate Live UK, I wanted to ask you why and how can the power of music help in engaging educating and empowering, in and about the climate emergency?
One great thing about music is that it has always been used alongside incredible protest movements, and there's been protest songs that have literally been alongside revolutions all throughout history, and music has been part of resilience and pockets of resistance in so many places across the world. And so music in itself is an incredibly powerful tool when we look at how people have used it in the face of adversity. And right now, what we've seen with Climate Live is using that tool that music has, in the power that it has to bring people and mobilize people together, and use that to, as we have said, engage, educate, and empower people. So, for example, the concerts that we had all across the world, and in the UK, we had a big pink solar-powered bus that was taken to festivals, and it was just beautiful, actually bringing people together in a space where they wouldn't usually speak about the climate crisis. They wouldn't usually go to an event about the climate crisis, or that wouldn't be a topic for them. But we were able to bring that to these spaces where people were coming, they were dancing, and then they were going to our stall and talking to youth climate activists and campaigners about what they actually do and what campaigns that they can directly get involved in after that festival. And so being in spaces like that, I think, is incredibly powerful, and I think it touches on the power that culture has, and actually using culture to create an entire shift in how people are treating the planet and how we are navigating this climate crisis. I think culture is incredibly powerful, and culture shifts have completely revolutionized movements in the past, and I believe that we can do the same with the climate crisis. If we had that culture of care, that culture we prioritize the well-being of our planet and people over profit, where a safe future and our well-being was the priority, that would be, we'd be looking at a radically different world. And I think sometimes we underestimate the power that culture can have. And I do think even world leaders and a lot of people at COP would also benefit from this culture shift to something where we're all mobilized together and united to fight the climate crisis, and united for our planet, where we don't just keep exploiting it.
Okay, thank you for that. I was going to ask you again the same question with that. We have seen the amazing UK bus, which is solar powered. It doesn't emit, and it's really amazing what you're doing. Like leading by example as a climate youth movement, and we have seen the bus. It's really amazing. I don't know what you think about the bus before we proceed.
I think the bus is beautiful. I think it's amazing. It's very cute, and I'm sure Francis can actually speak on this as well. The bus is like a big passion project from the UK team, and just literally bringing it around in London, bringing it around to every festival has been, as I spoke about, it's been such a great moment. And I don't know, Francis, if you want to say a few words as well about the bus and just these UK events that we've had. Well, London events mainly, but all across the UK as well.
Yeah, it's been really cool to take the youth climate message to major festivals, which is a very mainstream audience, and a lot of people who purely came there to listen to music and would never usually go to a climate protest, but they walk by this open top bus with a full band playing on the top, blasting out music. And then when the band is finished, we have talks from youth climate justice activists, which people engage with. And it's just been a wonderful way and a kind of enhancement of the ethos of Climate Live in terms of reaching a new audience. And we do have plans to expand bus things in other countries, which is very exciting. Back to you guys.
So just to round up, considering our limited time that we have, I'm just going to ask the three of you just one question. Your message to the world leaders now. So I'm just giving you a few seconds to just say your expectations, not expectations is that, but what you want world leaders to do. We have the world leaders. What is your message to them? So I'll start with Fazana.
Okay, so we already have talked about what we are expecting, like loss and damage in agenda and finance and adaptation fund. So and we will do it throughout the COP and after the COP as well. One message, if I need to deliver, is can you hear us yet? Because we are already very loud and we will be until we get what we want.
Amazing. Dominic?
Exactly echo what was said there, and that you cannot endlessly extract on a planet with finite resources and continue exploiting our planet and people. Nature fights back, and that will our planet should always be prioritized over endless profit. And you have to act now, otherwise there won't be a planet to protect, and we won't back down. We'll keep fighting. And you can't adapt to climate catastrophe. So we say this every year. What more do we say? Climate justice now.
Amazing. Frances?
Yeah, I completely echo what you guys have said, and I would add that world leaders need to treat the climate crisis as a crisis and not just a box they need to tick to kind of continue with business as usual.
Amazing. Thank you so much for answering my tricky questions. Really appreciate your time. So now I'm going to open the floor to the audience. If you have any questions in line with what has been explained by the panelists, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to take the floor if you have any questions.
Thank you. I just want, there's one thing that I didn't hear, that Climate Live, the age bracket for Climate Live. Because yes, we are all in the fight, but in Africa, there are some young people who are not allowed in such festivals. So what is your age bracket? Thank you.
Okay, so to answer on that, Climate Live is a youth-led movement. But I'm sure you know the age limit on on the explanation of what young people, like the definition of a youth, it's usually below the age of 35 going down. But it doesn't mean that if you're a youth-led movement, we do not engage, older people as well. We do have advisors within Climate Life. We do have supporters. If you have noticed on the slides, we have supporters who support Climate Live. And also on the issue you highlighted, on the festivals that we host, where young people are not allowed to join in, we also have the platform of live streaming our events. And, we make sure that our events are accessible to any age group, so that, we have that much needed inclusion in all our events. So we do live stream our events. And we also have in-person events, as we try to make sure that everyone is involved and is actually participating in our concerts as well. So I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you very much to the team. Thank you for Climate Life. And it is really very important, because Climate Life is already in my country, Sierra Leone, and I am the focal point, the country representative. So we have started engaging young people, and it is really very exciting. What I want to know, because the expectations were very high this 2022, but we understand the crises and the challenges. But to keep the fire burning, what are the plans for 2023? Because we are highly excited about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. So in 2023, we're going to be having different programs in different countries, and we're going to be hosting major Climate Live concerts in October 2023, where we are going to make sure that we have maximum representation from all the countries. So that's the approach for 2023, and we have since launched local programs in different countries, which we hope is going to continue to have engagement in different countries, where they will continue to engage different societies, communities, to keep up the momentum, using music to make sure that we engage those who are currently not engaged in the crisis. So the approach for 2023 is that we're going to be hosting, different awareness programs in different countries, and we're going to have major concerts in October, where we're going to be hosting in over 50 countries, the event that we'll be hosting next year. So I hope I've answered your question.
Hi, I missed the beginning, but I saw the slide that showed the different countries that are participating. And I don't see many countries from the global north, so I'm from Belgium. I saw Netherlands up there, so I'd be interested to know how one can join. So I'm a member of a climate movement in Belgium, and we organized a music festival on the first day of COP26 in Brussels. But unfortunately the weather was terrible, rained all day, so we didn't get the turnout that we hoped. But we would really like to try it again.
Yes, so in terms of getting involved, we don't currently have a team in Belgium, am I correct? We do not?
Yeah, do you want me to take this one? Does that help?
Go for it.
Yeah, so literally just email us. There's an hello@climatelive.org email. We're always open to more teams joining. We do focus, we have a team, especially the wonderful Tafadzwa, dedicated on trying to onboard more teams from the Global South, because we feel it's more important for those countries to be part of this, especially in lots of MAPA countries. It's illegal to protest, so this gives kind of an outlet and a way to talk about the climate crisis without it endangering people. But yeah, we are totally open to new countries joining, so just get in touch and we'll set up a call.
So just to add on that, we are currently onboarding different countries, and we are not just focusing on MAPA countries. We are also reaching out to the LAPA countries, and I'm happy that we always reach out to you to make sure that we do set up a team in Belgium, and it's something that we are also working on as well. So so we'll be happy to do that, and we are open to onboard different countries. We do not have a limitation to say we only focus on MAPA or on this, but we're engaging all countries, including LAPA and MAPA, because at the end of the day, what we want is to join hands to make sure that we have a unified approach and we're making a bigger impact. So so I hope we have answered your question.
Just to clarify, in case people don't know, MAPA stands for Most Affected People and Areas.
Yes, thank you for that. So generally that's all. So anyone with any more questions? Amazing. So thank you so much for joining our session, and we really appreciate your attendance and your support for joining this Climate Live session, where we're explaining about how the power of music can be used to engage a new audience. And would also want to say, to thank our supporters, including Ecoasia, for actually, allowing us to be able to host this event as well, and also to all the Climate Live country representatives here present. And we really appreciate your support, and I'll be asking if the speakers would want to add anything with regards to the session as well. So Fazana or Dominic?
It would be amazing for everyone who doesn't know Climate Live to check it out and check out what we're doing next year in 2023. And for everyone here at COP, and those who are trying to, put up the good fight, I'm just sending all the best energy right now, and a reminder that we are all unified in this, and we know that we still have a chance to push for climate action, and we're doing that in so many incredible ways. So thank you for everything that you're doing, and let's keep going and won't back down. Thank you. Anything you wanted to add? Francis? Oh, good. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much. I believe we have reached the end of our session, and please, just as Dominique has highlighted, please do check out our socials. We have some amazing programs coming up and major events in 2023. And so please do reach out and check our socials as well. And again, thank you so much for joining in, and goodbye.